Hello, I'm John Dickerson. The presidential debates are upon us, but before we're consumed with arguments over Afghanistan and bailouts, we wanted to take a tour through some of the odd theatrical moments of the past presidential debates. The first comes from the 1960 debate, John Kennedy versus Richard Nixon. The question for Kennedy, like Obama today, was whether the young senator had the experience for the job.
There's no certain road to the presidency. There are no guarantees that if you take the one road or another that you will be a successful president. I have been in the Congress for 14 years.
Though he suffered from colitis, Addison's disease, and a bad back, Kennedy looked vigorous and relaxed compared to Nixon, whose lazy shave powder didn't obscure his 5 o'clock shadow or the fact that he was sick and sweaty. There wasn't another debate for 16 years. Incumbents didn't like them. But in 1976, Gerald Ford trailed Jimmy Carter by nearly 30 points in the polls, so he agreed to debate his challenger. In another bold move, Ford liberated all of Eastern Europe from Soviet domination.
There is no Soviet domination of Eastern Europe, and there never will be under a Ford administration.
Though style is graded over substance in these debates, avoiding this kind of gaffe is why candidates still study their briefing books. The most exciting moment of the Ford-Carter debate came when the audio died out.
We are, needless to say, trying to restore it. Do not know what has happened to it.
You can hear the great voices of broadcast, Harry Reasoner, David Brinkley, trying to fill the airtime. We'll get back to Ford and Carter later. In 1980, Reagan and Carter didn't debate until 1 week before the election. The signature moment came near the end of the debate.
Governor Reagan, again, typically is against such a proposal.
Governor, there you go again. When I opposed Medicare,
Reagan benefited as John Kennedy had in 1960. Carter was seen as icy and unfair. Reagan was seen as avuncular and not scary. In his closing statement, he was also able to frame the choice for the wide viewing audience.
I think when you make that decision, it might be well if you would ask yourself, are you better off than you were 4 years ago?
Back in 1976, Ford and Carter are still not talking, still not moving. In 1984, Reagan botched the first debate, stumbling over numbers and seeming confused.
And reducing the share that the government is taking from the gross national product, which has become a drag on the economy.
Commentators said he was too old for the job. He rescued himself in the next debate.
And I want you to know that also I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience.
In 1976, after 15 minutes of silence, Carter blinked. In 1988, Michael Dukakis was passionate in his debate with George Bush, but not in response to this first question from Bernard Shaw.
Governor, if Kitty Dukakis were raped and murdered, would you favor an irrevocable death penalty for the killer?
No, I don't, Bernard, and I think you know that I've opposed the death penalty during all of my life. I don't see any evidence that it's a deterrent, and I think there are better and more effective ways to deal with violent crime.
This reasonable but passionless answer fed into the cartoon of Dukakis as a bloodless bureaucrat. In 1992, George Bush fell into the same trap Dukakis did. The rap against the president was that he didn't care much for people's pain. In a town hall debate, when he was caught looking at his watch, it seemed to confirm that. In 1976, 20 minutes of silence, no movement. The issue of age came up again in 1996, as Bill Clinton showed us why he was such a good politician, attacking Bob Dole for his age without seeming to do so.
I can only tell you that I don't think Senator Dole is too old to be president. It's the age of his ideas that I question.
The 2000 debates will be remembered for Al Gore's repeated and flamboyant sighing,
That's what a governor gets to do.
which Americans thought was more problematic than global warming. In 2004, it was George W. Bush's turn to act strangely on the debate stage.
I own a timber company? That's news to me. Need some wood?
Well, that was fun. We've had our dessert now, though, and we can go back to talking about Iraq and our doomed economy. For Slate V, I'm John Dickerson.